Alrighty, episode 37. Let's go.
Let's
So,
do this.
yeah, man. So it's been a while. Been like 6 weeks since we've been able to get together and have a conversation. How you been? How's it going?
Oh, I've been hanging in there.
Yeah, for me, had a pretty heavy summer class that kept me pretty busy. Able to find a little time here to do an
Golf.
episode. Yeah.
You've been
Been,
picking up new, your old hobbies, actually.
yep. Yeah, I'm using that to not allow myself to fall back into bad habits and things. Trying to add new positive things to my life as much as I possibly can and be able to make time for those things. I think sometimes we try to add things but we don't know how to plan for them and actually add them into our lives, so we don't really get into them the way we should,
Yeah,
and it kind of slips away from us and we fall back into the same routines.
exactly. Being in that same routine is breaking that cycle. Breaking that routine is the hardest part about this whole thing. And then you can actually work and work and work on it and try to keep doing the right thing. I've noticed, and you can end up like me and completely burning yourself out
Right.
because we talked about this many times. I think it's heck giving somebody hope can mean that a difference,
I agree.
so much difference. Just having hope.
That support and hope, yeah.
Yeah. Because
So
what do most people that don't understand mental health or addiction just do? Well, just keep working, suck it up, and keep going.
right.
And it's like a lot of times I think a lot of people do that to the point where they burn the candle at both ends, and they have nothing left.
Yeah. They push themselves too far, or
Yep.
people expect them to be able to push themselves too far when they're not strong enough yet to be able to do that. There's a lot of misunderstandings with recovery.
Ignorance.
Yeah,
Ignorance
for
is
sure.
bliss.
Right?
Ignorance is absolute bliss, is what I've. You just listen to some people, and it's like, do you really hear what you just said? Like, you know, it's kind of like when you see people who are still actively using and they're trying to judge somebody, or,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just like,
I
what?
know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, so today we're going to kind of have an open conversation, but we're also going to, stick to some topics. Like, I want to get into families and friends and not being able to fully understand what people go through in recovery and throughout addiction. And then also, I want to get into the Delta 8 loophole, some stuff with that, and we'll just see kind of what happens with the conversation. So, one thing before we get too far, I want to share that I'm actually expecting my first child, and we have a early January due date, which is really interesting. We've been trying for quite a while, over a year, and
January 12th, I think it's going to land on.
yeah, that's my birthday and your birthday.
Yep.
But over the summer, early this summer, we found out that we are having our first kid, so we're pretty excited about that.
Yeah. I
It's
can't wait, man.
it's another strong reason to find positive things and continue to fight in recovery and to do better and not allow yourself to go backwards to a negative place.
Yeah.
So
It's I remember I was at work, or I was on my way to work, and you you said, "Guess what happened?" And I was like, or wasn't it? Yeah, you were like, "Guess what?"
yeah,
And I didn't. I was thinking that was the last thing I was thinking, and then you're like, "Brooke is pregnant," and I was just like, "What?"
mm,
Awesome, man.
yeah, it's crazy. It's exciting. I didn't, years ago, I would have never thought I'd be in my late 30s, basically, before I had my first child. But because I'll be 38 by the time it happens.
Yep.
It's going to be right around my birthday, so right after the holidays, Christmas, and it's going to be an interesting year this year.
I think it's a blessing, and that
Yeah.
that's where a lot of people.
Well, and it's funny because people ask me if I want a boy or a girl, and they ask Brooke too, and we both we both have said the same thing a lot, that we don't, it doesn't matter as long as it's a healthy kid. It doesn't,
Yeah.
we've had some issues, and for us, as long as we can have a healthy kid, that's what's important for us. So,
It's a absolute blessing, man. That's where I've just, I can't wait to have that miracle, you know.
and it'll come for you.
Oh, absolutely. But
I know it will.
there's a lot of people that I see that's like they don't look at it as a blessing. It's like they get so caught up in the expense of it, all of that,
Hmm.
about this, that, the timing, everything, and it's like
Well,
this is a miracle.
yeah, we realize there's never a right time.
No, I don't think you could ever prepare for a blessing so much.
We got lucky that it's gonna fall on holiday break for school.
Yeah.
We'll have like 4 weeks off there, and it's due in that second week. So we'll have at least 2.5 weeks of holiday break left before I have to go back to school. We'll see how that plays out. But we're both so close to graduating, we have to make sure that we are able to go back to school right away and finish up and, get into our careers.
It is funny. I just have a feeling it's gonna land on like yeah.
Right on the 12th, or like right on one of those dates.
It's seems to be like I actually have two cousins that got the same birthday,
Hmm.
so it happened twice. So yeah.
Oh man, my uncles, my grandpa, and all the three of my uncles' birthdays are all within like 4 days of each other in July, 4 or 5 days,
Oh,
like
in
all in
July.
the teens. Yeah.
Okay.
So all their birthdays fall in like the mid to late teens. Like it's really crazy. So I mean, they almost all had the same birthday too. Just like a year, they're like a year or 2 years apart, like the three of them.
I have my father. His his birthday's actually coming up in a couple days here. But he's got a little brother that for 10 days they're the same age.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep. Isn't that funny?
Yeah, it's weird how the days can fall. So,
Like, and then when you start looking at timing, like I would have never met you if I would have never, like, because I was sober for like over 10 months or 9 months, and
mm,
I threw my back out, and then I found like one expired Vicodin, and then it just that one Vicodin just led to a roller coaster of
that's how it goes with relapse.
Yup. You could trick yourself. You
But
could,
I ended up back because of PAWS.
yeah.
So that's actually one thing though I want to do, kind of, how are things going for you? Because I know you've been having a hard time with mental health things lately, and how you've been feeling, and it has to do with things that are related to PAWS.
Yeah.
And it's again why it's so important to taper properly and to do the right things to heal yourself, because mistakes will cause you a lot of mental like anguish and
Yeah.
a lot of more struggle than what needs to happen in recovery.
The the biggest thing is, and I talked to my actually it trying to not feel like the world is constantly like messing with you is, is such it's a thing with addiction and mental health, like, but just talking about mental health, not a lot of people know this, but June is Men's Mental Health Month.
Hmm.
It has been since 1992, but nobody really knows about it.
Yeah, June does seem to come and go without too many people talking about it.
uh, Other than me, like how many
Yeah,
people?
well, right, that's what I mean. I've only heard you talk about that as far as Men's Mental Health Month in
Yeah,
June.
yeah, not that, you know, because it's just something that I've always noticed is it doesn't matter if you're man, woman. Mental health needs to be addressed more.
I agree.
But it's the proof is already in the pudding, as they say. Like men are at a volcanically higher suicide rate, and everything like that. It's just
But what I think is funny is how people really don't see going to like a therapist, stuff like that, and to talk about the stuff as like brain health. You'll go to a regular doctor and do all this stuff for your physical health,
Yeah.
but people don't understand that talking about things and getting the tools to work through things, that will help improve your brain health and your mental health to get through your struggles rather than always just can't figure it out. Don't have the tools to get through it. Struggle every day, negative thinking. You got to be able to go and get the tools needed to come through those struggles.
Well, and with all the like, I lost my counselor and I lost my doctor. I lost a lot of things because of all the hospitals and purveyors closing. That really put for like 3 months. I was completely screwed.
Yeah, it's hard if you have something and then all of a sudden you're trying to find someone new.
Yeah.
It is possible though, but it can be stressful, especially with insurance things, stuff like that.
Everything, man.
HMOs only covering specific places. Or if you go here, it's this much, or here, it's double, you know.
And of course, you can do all this if you have money. You know,
Mm,
you could always pay up front. But who right now has the extra money? You know, at least that's just the way I'm looking at it with the economy and everything. It just seems like,
yeah, and I do understand that even budgeting, people are choosing to not even go to the regular doctor because they're so concerned about a bill, so they don't want to go make another bill for brain health because that's they're not seeing it as what it could possibly be. But I think everybody needs to have somebody to talk to outside of your normal.
counselors have
You
counselors.
don't.
You know,
You need that unbiased opinion. You need somebody who isn't your close friend or isn't your family that maybe is going to say something just to make you feel better.
yeah.
You need someone who's going to tell you the truth and tell you what you need to hear.
That's where you have always came in because you know, you're not a friend. You're family to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Right.
we talk every day. We're always there for each other. Like, support is so crucial to
Well, even in
recovery.
the programs, when you're done, when you taper to zero, they only keep in touch with you for 30 days after that. They
Yeah.
follow up with you to make sure you're okay, but outside of that, then you are on your own again to find another counselor or whatever to
Go through
continue to
those
get those
withdrawals
tools.
and
Right, and then if PAWS is so unpredictable, and it seems like the more people I talk to that have tapered and left at like 10, 11, 15, 17 milligrams, they've all ended up back because
yeah.
of PAWS like symptoms.
Yep.
And it's all been within 8 weeks to 8 months that people have not been able to deal with. And it seems like 8 weeks, that's about 2 months. And right around that is when the
It is
PAWS starts to kick in, when it starts to ramp up.
at
It
its
gets worse
peak.
as you go. Well, that's kind of the beginning. The peak for me was still going. When I had it in month 8, I was still getting worse. I was having more and more symptoms, but that's where like the early peak would be, you could say. And that's where, people lose that battle and they go back and try again.
I've
It's a very unpredictable, very challenging thing with these methadone MAT programs.
and I will say the hardest thing is it's literally like torture. Is not having a proper sleep schedule.
Well, and that's the issue is that the people around you, friends and family, they don't fully understand how bad things actually are. With mental health, it can be really hard to see what's going on. You see people during the day, you talk, whatever. You might say a couple things about, I feel this or I that, but they're not there at night when you're awake all night. You can't sleep. You can say you can't sleep, but they don't know what that really looks like.
Yeah.
When you're up all night long, tossing and turning, just cannot get to sleep, and then you're
Something I don't
upset
wish
the
upon
next day.
anybody. Yeah.
Well, and it's funny with me and you because we're the
Polar
opposite. You
opposites.
have the insomnia and I have extreme fatigue where I'm losing a lot of time in my day because I have zero energy and my brain just shuts down and is like we're not doing anything. We're not. You're done.
I remember one time we were supposed to meet for a walk, and Usually I'm the one who's late, you know? And you were like 15, 20 minutes late. And I was like calling and texting you and everything. And you had collapsed. You were just so
Mm.
exhausted. You couldn't even, you know?
That's what happens. And the worst thing is with school, if I don't do my schoolwork in a timely manner and if I try to put it off, if it gets later in the day, I will get too tired to think clearly to even do that. And next thing I know, I might not get an assignment done. I've learned the hard way with things like that, that I
Yeah.
need to do things in a timely manner because my fatigue gets extreme when it kicks in. It's not fun.
It's not. It's not at all, man.
But so, along with people not, fully understanding things, so think about like your average person. Your average people have their routines, their whatever. Think how hard it is for the average person to break a habit or a routine.
Fuck.
I mean, just not somebody going through addiction, and then now add addiction into that, and you have to not only come off of that, but then create new routines and new habits. And people are having really hard time and struggling, and you can't even. The
Just
people that are not in addiction have a hard time with this.
let alone people that are suffering from
Right.
mental
So
health. Because the way I see it is with post acute withdrawal, every mental health thing that I had prior to that just it's exaggerated it, like, you know, like it's just intensified it to
mhm.
the maximum degree, like my insomnia, my, you know, it's like a it's just it this is the first time where I can honestly say my mental health deteriorated to the point where it's affecting my physical health.
And that's actually what PAWS does. Like PAWS
Oh,
symptoms will continue. When I was then what scares me about the PAWS and people not understanding is when I was back on in a program, I it took me a few years to heal from those PAWS symptoms that I had. It got really bad. And as far as like nerves and things like that,
yeah, yeah.
I can say that some of my nerve things have not healed. I still am going through the same stuff I was during pause, and some of the mental stuff that I feel is still the same as when I went through pause, and I never felt it before that. So I know and understand how much it really can change you, and even when you go back on a program or back on a medication, you can't always fully heal from everything that happens to you.
Not at all. It's a perfect way of putting it, man. I guess I'm blessed that I'm, because like I said, man, I feel like just like the inside of my body's vomit some days.
Well, it makes sense why people get frustrated when they're trying to talk about what's going on with them or how they feel, and people that aren't going through it just really don't
They
understand.
get annoyed. Actually, that's what I've realized is people just get annoyed.
Right. And it kind of shows with even being in school, like I'm at a tech school for substance abuse disorder counseling, and we have 9 people in my core class, and 5 of them are directly like related to having in their own recovery. And the other 4 have somebody close to them, and that's either
It
in addiction
That's
or in
addiction in a
recovery.
nutshell, right there. It
You
seems like
know,
people don't give a shit until it happens to them or their family.
right? And it's like the ones outside of it really do seem to have a very hard time wrapping their head around just how powerful addiction is when it changes the balance of your brain, your physical body, and how you start to feel after you are in recovery trying to get better. And I do understand that there are some people who do actually get 100% better and get back to themselves, and they are
Everybody's
very
different.
lucky. Like, those are the lucky ones for sure.
There's a lot of people, man, that I've actually noticed. It's like they just needed to get the drugs out of their system, and it's like their body just recovered really quick.
Right, and I think that's what's frustrating when some people say, "Well, just get over it and,
Dude, nobody.
do this or do that." And it's like, "Well, yeah, that does work for some people. They can heal and just go back to normal, but what about the people whose balance is still really off or their physical is just not right? You just are not getting back to yourself, like the person that you know yourself to be." And you kind of get, I don't know, when I was going through it really bad, you just get to such a low place because you're like, how am I ever gonna figure this out? How am I ever gonna make this work to where I can even be somewhat normal when I'm not even close to who I know myself to be?
It's the absolute delusion level too of some people. They just have no idea what they're talking about, and they make shit so much worse
Well, and it's
with their
something,
snarky comments and shit.
and it's even with the way that the state of marijuana right now, dude. The way that it's so high potency everywhere that you turn around. It's always about this next strongest thing, and that's really changing the balance and how people feel too. And people are getting much more
Those disposables that are
chemically
like
addicted.
99% THC diamonds. It's like, dude, it's like they're trying to get it. What's next? Like, people are going to be injecting the shit or what?
Right, like you're changing the balance of your brain so much with it, and then you're agitated without it. You can't go a day, and it
And
just
that's
becomes a
marijuana,
huge part
man.
of your life, and you can't kick it like maybe you could back when it was 15% or 16, 20%. Now it's at 90%, 98%. Like, we don't need that.
It's gotten to the point where I know if I were to ever smoke, especially something like that, it would put me into a fucking I'd have a panic attack. It'd be way too potent.
Well, right, think about kids who are trying
Like,
it the
my
first
heart's just
time.
beating fast just even thinking about doing that.
Like, it's absolutely just like hitting them in the face pretty much. Imagine being like 14 and having something like that. It's 90%.
Doing a dab.
Like, you're just gonna be goofy all day,
It's
probably.
basically like opium. Like, it's potent, man.
It is very strong.
Yeah. I don't know. It's those. It's. I see everybody, and then at least at work, it even people into their 30s are really into the vapes, the nicotine ones.
Yeah.
But a lot of them look just like the disposable THC ones, you know, and all of
Well,
that people are inhaling. There's got to be metals and
well, that's the thing is that it's been bothering me with the Delta and all that stuff is how every gas station everywhere started selling it right now.
dude, the THC
Like being able
B,
to,
THCA, THC, everything, man. They've made it into it's such a confusing mess. HHC, the list goes on, man.
so I did was reading about something that supposed to ban and close the loophole of the farm bill
They did July 1st.
and make it so that you can't sell that Delta 8 and stuff, and that's going to take a while.
Months,
But
years.
to me, that's actually a good start, though. I would like to see Delta 8 go away.
Yeah,
Like, I don't.
I agree with that big time. I don't like it at all. We already know how people feel about that.
Yeah, so it was actually, I just looked up because I just wanted to see. So it says the House Appropriations Subcommittee on Agricultural, Rural Development, Food and Drug Administration advanced legislation that bans dangerous hemp derived THC products. This language is identical to the Farm Bill amendment closing the Delta 8 THC loophole. That was June 11th, 2024.
July 1st
And
was supposed to be the day.
to me, that is a good. And what the problem is, to be honest, the real problem is if you, as far as I know, you know, Michigan and Colorado, places where it's legal recreationally, companies actually make a good product. Like, the real THC, they're mixing it properly. They're doing sanitary. It's not like a unsupervised, unregulated thing. With the Delta, it's so unregulated. Even these same companies that you trust over here
Make
are
it.
doing unsanitary practices and making a shitty product over here because they're unregulated and they can get away with it, cut corners, save money. That's where I always had the issue with the Delta products is a lot of the things that I was reading about it that were going on with it. So if it wasn't for that, it wouldn't be so bad. Like, I mean, THCA doesn't seem so bad as far as the flower.
Yeah.
I don't know about the vapes and things like
I don't
that.
know. I've seen the flower that looks really good at shops and stuff like that. I mean, studying it, but I've also seen some that it's like, dude, this is the exact same shit as the K2 and Spice. Like, you could see the
Right,
chemical sprayed upon it.
right.
I don't know if I should even bring up what place that is, but
No, don't.
okay, because it's a place that I just like if I had a kid
It's
and I
better
knew that
not
he
to
was
say
going in there.
names. Like, right.
I
It
know,
just,
but it's just disgusts me that I hate anybody that makes money off stuff something that's really gonna hurt somebody, and they can legally do it. It really fucking pisses me off
oh,
because
I
would they like
understand.
their kid? You know what I mean? If it ain't my kid, or if it ain't me or my kid, I can't stand that type of thinking, and that's just like the capitalist, not the just the that type of thinking. It's well, you got to make money, you know.
So, what's interesting too with this is, just reading part of this, the rampant spread of Delta 8 THC has been a recipe for disaster that has hospitalized people across the nation and fueled a rise in addiction and substance use disorder. Worst of all, it's fueling a dangerous perception among our nation's youth that THC drugs and marijuana are safe and even recreation is safe.
Well, it's there's just legalize it, you
High
know.
potency marijuana products and Delta 8 THC products are virtually indistinguishable from other real THC products. And I've said that before when you take, especially when you take it out of the package, because those two cartridges will look exactly the same from a real, like a recreational THC and Delta. They'll say the same company and they'll look the same.
Actually, I've when I used to, this was a couple of years ago. Cookies, which is the biggest marijuana industry in the
Mm,
whole world, in my opinion. Definitely in the country. This guy had cards. Like, it said cookies perfectly to a
right.
T. And I was like, nice and everything. And then, me, I always, I get on my phone, start doing research. Cookies only had half gram, you know,
Right.
carts. Well, then the dude right away has an answer for it. Well, I know a dude that knows a dude that he sells them out the back, and it's like, no, dude, this is counterfeit. Like,
That's crazy how you caught on because you knew about the product.
yep,
That's one way
I'm
to catch a
always
counterfeit.
doing my research, man.
Well, and you have to nowadays, or you're gonna end
Do
up
your
with a bad
research.
product, and then you're
Yeah,
putting that poor quality in your lungs. Probably,
that goes with anything, man.
it's weird
Don't
to
believe
think.
just what Google says.
Yeah,
Like, yeah,
it's
hey, well,
weird to
YouTube said this.
think the things that have probably been inhaled through some of these vape carts, like straight,
I
where
think of everything I've done in my past, man, and I think what how the fuck am I still sitting here on a podcast just talking to you?
right.
Like, the absolute craziness that comes along with being an addict.
Well, you've been able to overcome things, even though sometimes I don't think you give yourself enough credit.
I think that's a big thing.
You've been able to actually overcome things, and that is why you're sitting here today.
Yeah.
A lot of people aren't here today.
Yeah.
I think about that often, and especially since earlier this summer, somebody else I know and you also lost. I mean, it wasn't a close friend, but it was somebody I knew from back when we were younger, and he was hanging out with some of my other friends. So, and he passed away, and then you had somebody recently pass away, and it just, the years don't stop. and people continue to pass away, and you got to be thankful to still be here. And
Just had his funeral. Yeah.
even through using substance issues and things like that, we're both trying to get to a better place where we can help people overcome that and do better for ourselves in the process of that.
I've been very frustrated. Is probably the best.
Mm-hmm.
Frustrated and angry.
But
My
school's
anger
right
has
around the
been.
corner here. You're
Yep.
gonna have to get focused on school, and
Start my classes on
once you
2 weeks from now. Yeah.
once you get focused on that, I think you'll feel a lot better too, because you're gonna start meeting different people,
Yeah.
and you're gonna meet more. See, what's interesting with this is I connect with people that are in recovery, like maybe not so much at the clinic because I don't want to say anything about certain things, but
The right people.
it's a different kind of people that aren't really the type that you're gonna be best friends with most of them. It's
Well,
just how it is.
it's more of an acquaintance.
Right. But when you're somewhere like
Acquaintance with
this where it's
benefits.
a positive situation, and you're meeting people in your recovery, or that are around recovery, or others that are struggling with addiction, you do get closer to them, and you do want to talk to them and get to know more about and why they're there and why they want to be there.
Yeah.
You know, it is interesting how different types of people in different situations, you really do feel differently when you're around them.
Oh, you feel it right away. And that's where, like, I've had to cut out so many people this past year. Like, you can just see that there is some people that they are so, and it's sad because they've been living that life for so long that that's all they know.
Mm-hmm.
And I know for a fact if I let them into my life, that it's only gonna end up like bad. Like it's
Right.
I'm gonna end up the ship is going down clearly with them and they don't realize it. They want people in their life, but they're just gonna bring everybody down with them.
Well, that's where I've really learned that you have to keep negative people away from you. Like,
Yeah.
even if it hurts sometimes and it's maybe not people that you want to have away from you.
Even if your job can affect you.
Yeah, if
God, everybody at the last place I was working at, man, it's
mm-hmm. Oh, for sure.
yeah.
When you got to work around people for 8 hours a day, 5, 6, 8 hours a day, and they're negative, that's going to weigh on you heavy because you're there frequently at a job. So that's going to start to get under your skin really quick.
Yeah, it did after about 5 months.
That's
You know,
where, having more of a career where people have worked to get there and they want to be there and they want to do a good job, they're not going to be negative. It's going to be more of a positive. Since some people are, of course, some people will, but overall, I think it's going to be more of a positive interaction because you're there for a reason. You're there to complete a task. A lot of these like jobs like that, factories, there's too much time for the mouth to run while they're completing these little tasks. It's not an important thing that you have to be focused on
drugs.
and discussing and this and that.
It's
It's
a
just
recipe
run your
for
mouth.
substance abuse.
Right, and then run your mouth and do your little chore, and it's not a good environment for positive things. You're going to get a lot of negative in that environment.
Yeah.
I remember doing that stuff years ago. I cannot stand the attitudes inside of factories and places like that.
I like I just remembered that you were always, and I have a lot of friends that have said this about me. It's how I'm able to just seem to wherever I am, just get along with
Mm,
everybody.
yeah, that's true.
Could adapt to any situation.
Yeah. So, yeah, for sure. Another thing, like even with the Delta 8, the company's cutting corners. Like I noticed the other day. So I drink Planet Oat. Like I'm a big alternative milk person,
Yeah.
And
Oat
I
milk,
drink Planet Oat regular because it doesn't have oils and certain things in it.
sunflower oil.
Well, a couple days ago I was at Woodman's and I picked one up, and all of a sudden it has sunflower oil in it. And I was like, "What?" So they changed their, they must have changed their recipe, and started adding this sunflower oil. So now looking for something new to buy because I don't buy those alternative milks like your Silk that is just full of fillers and
Silk
different
milk.
gums.
That shit tastes
Silk,
horrible too, man.
alternative milk, Silk is one of the worst ones in my opinion. And the
That stuff
funny
is
thing about
nasty.
Silk will put their good ingredients like on the top, and then there'll be like it'll say something like some blend or whatever this that, but then down underneath it is where they'll put like the oils or the gums or whatever. So you actually have to read to get
Yeah.
to it.
They'll put it in different.
They try to make it look good, but
Yeah.
it's not good. Like Silk is horrible.
Anything that I've noticed with that is anything that you can't pronounce
Yeah, that too.
is you
But
should
typically
probably not put in your body.
with your alternative milks, it's just the oils and the gums that they use as fillers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not gonna be just your oats or your almonds and water. Like I found one that is just
It's insane how
oats and
much is.
water, and it's like $4.97 just for like a little pint of it. So it gets real more expensive when you're getting it with just those ingredients, which is why of course they're gonna use fillers, oils, whatever. Well, you might as well just drink dairy or not do it at all at that point because those oils and them gums are not helping your stomach either. It's not good for your gut at all.
No,
You
your
know,
gut microbiome has a lot to
dairy
do
might be a
with.
little inflammatory or whatever, but if you're putting those oils down there all day, chugging that down, that's not helping you either. So you have to be reading labels and be very aware of what's going on with these companies. Like I could have just bought that and kept buying it and just not even noticed, but because I check every once in a while, I just happen to look just to make sure it's still the way it was. I noticed it. But what's interesting is then I go to Sam's Club and they got 3 packs there, and the 3 pack there didn't have the oil. So I grabbed one there, but now over here they do.
Hmm.
So eventually they're gonna
Yeah.
they'll cycle through, and the whole thing will have changed. It's messed up.
It's criminal.
You really have to read, because almost all of them have oils or some sort of gums and stuff. It's just
Whole lot of bullshit, dude.
yeah. I'd never buy like the flavored ones. I always try to
No.
get like the natural,
And
just original flavor.
getting man, it says you got to really watch because that's the trick of it. It said 100% flavored cranberry juice.
Right.
Like, you know how many people grab that and think, oh, that's just 100% cranberry juice, flavored cranberry
Mm.
juice. Like, dude, that corn syrup, all of that stuff.
Oh, I can't. Oh, I don't like corn syrup at all.
Ketchup is poison.
Yeah.
Ketchup
I
is
try
just
to buy
sugar.
like an organic ketchup with less sugar and stuff in it though.
It's fructose corn syrup.
But
That's all it is.
you can get better ones if you're willing to pay a couple dollars more, which
Yeah.
we do that with mayo and ketchup just because I'm not gonna eat cheap ketchup. But yeah, so just to we'll end the milk conversation now, I guess.
Yeah, we're kind of getting, but no,
Well, no, it's
it's
just one of those
poison.
things. Like, it's just like the Delta. It's just like that. Companies just love to cut corners, anything they can to not put
Dude.
out a decent product. And the consumers are just eating it up, buying it up. You spend $5, $6 on a milk, alternative milk, and you think you're getting a healthy product, and you're not.
And I'm not trying to get negative, and I'm not
Right.
trying to, but dude, this shit's getting out of hand, man.
It's ridiculous where it is with consumers right now.
Well, everything and things that have always been free are now like there's nothing is free anymore.
Oh, for sure not. But for me, it's just I don't like how people are still willing to buy stuff even when they're putting out bad products, and people will just grab it up like it's
Yeah,
no
but
big
Google
deal.
says it's okay though.
Yeah, but in moderation,
I
maybe
know.
not every day.
That's that type of thinking. I can't. I do it. There's some lot of stupid people out there, bro, and I don't mean to sound like an asshole.
Like think about like when they release Like they released Mountain Dew Hot Cheetos flavor, and it was sold out in a day.
Dude, that's
Like, do you know how
disgusting.
horrible that is for your kids to drink?
That's
Like all
actually
the shit in that.
how do you think how much has Mountain Dew and all the Coca-Cola and everything been responsible for diabetes? Just how much death and destruction?
Well, it's just like cigarettes and everything. We have to make the choices. You could make a choice to make your kid have water. You could make the choice for
That's okay
this.
though, but you can't have a prescription.
You know, when I go places and I see parents and they just let their kids go in the fridge and grab whatever they want all day long, it's like what you should, in my opinion, what
Actually,
you
did it
should.
used to be worse, or you think it's gotten better? Like when we were kids, we had
No, it's
Surge.
worse because they have Prime, all these really weird drinks with all these goofy ingredients that you don't need, all these bad fake sweeteners that are messing up their guts, like, and they don't realize what they're doing to their stomachs either. They think it's actually a good thing. And I mean, I've sat here on here and tried multiple different Primes during episodes, and I can say that I am not a fan of Prime. I
That's
have not
disgusting.
found one that I actually enjoyed and drank through. And I've
The
probably had one on at least 10 different episodes with my green drink, and
I
I can
like the
tell
ice pop one.
even that one I did not really enjoy. Like, I've tried a lot of them. And the last one that I had, I tried one of those Prime X's. That is one of the worst drinks I've ever had in my life.
Oh, that black the
The black and blue and the
yeah
black and pink bottle,
yeah
those
it was a
are
UFC one. Yeah.
disgusting, man. So,
What did it taste like? I have never
it
drank any of
tasted
that
like
shit.
if you made Kool Aid with the same amount of sweet and low that people use with
Uh,
sugar. So
sucralose.
imagine freaking like 2 cups of that, 2 cups of sweet and low instead of sugar in your Kool Aid. That's what it tasted like. Absolutely horrendous. Like,
Sucralose.
you cannot understand how horrendous that stuff tasted. I took a swig of it and I dumped it out. Dumped the whole thing out, put it in the garbage. Wasn't even gonna put it in my body, dude. Like, I was like, this will make me feel like crap, probably. That's what the kids have nowadays and stuff like that. And that's what they're making popular too. Like, think about how big Prime was for now. It's like in all the dollar stores and everywhere. People don't really care about
It's
it as much, but
when I thought it was an energy drink. You remember
and yeah,
what?
the energy drinks. I think energy drinks are worse than Surge was.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Surge was a lot of sugar, but these energy drinks are full of all kinds of stuff. Like, have you seen some of the videos where people put everything in the energy drink, like in a cup next to it? Oh, that looks really messed up when they do that.
Dude, and it's got a lot of shit in it that's
Yeah,
not
they
good for
do.
you.
Mm-hmm.
A lot, not just the sugar, the caffeine. The dude, that's gonna fuck up your heart.
Right. So yeah, I think it's probably. I don't want to say it's worse, but it's the same. You know, kids don't have good options if they're not being taught to find those good
Well,
options.
cancer's not like you see the youngest people ever
Yeah.
are getting cancer now.
You know, you have to teach your even with like the water, like Propel flavored waters. That's all artificial sweeteners too. There's not
Oh
sugar in
yeah,
there.
if it tastes good,
So you know you can't. You gotta really guide the kids on how to look for good things, not just buy it because it's water with sweetener and you think that's good. That's not good still. You know.
no sucralose. That's why I keep bringing it up.
Right.
I learned that from you.
Yeah.
That shit is cancerous.
It's bad for your gut. It's
Yo,
bad for your gut.
and it's gonna take me a while to start eating healthier. You know, that's the biggest thing. It's I know it's bad for you, but it's so expensive to eat
Mm,
organically. But now
it is.
I'm at the point now, dude, where my body's really telling me, like my body's really like
Yeah, well, you got.
messed
You'll
up.
feel better if you do. And even with gluten and stuff, you get rid of stuff like that, and it changes how you feel.
Yeah, I swear, and it sounds like a conspiracy theory thing, but it's connected. The
Mm.
Food and Drug Administration is connected to the pharmaceutical industry.
Well, like
Whoa.
all these, like they have like Millville
Got a red
cereal.
dot on you, man.
You know, like all these as Millville cereal. Millville, like,
Yeah.
and and that's actually just General Mills. It's the same cereal, just in a different package. Like they actually own that. So
Yeah,
and it makes sense, right?
you
So
just
you
make.
go there and you're like you're buying the same product as you are at the name brand store, but people just don't put that together. They don't dig enough and understand
But there,
what's really going on.
and that's where a lot of people, life is just, you got it, that 8 9 to 5.
Mm,
Actually, it's 8 to 5. I never understood why they say 9 to 5.
yeah.
It's 8 to 5.
Well, and the other thing is with like the almond milks and stuff, they just use the leftover broken almonds and stuff that they can't put in the jars. It's not like they're using the quality
I'll drink
almonds. You know what I
regular
mean?
milk
It's
over
all
that
just
bullshit.
the excess. So that's where I do like a good clean like a good oat milk that's just oats and water. But I don't want anything that has fillers in it, gums and oils, because I don't feel good. So,
No, and in fact, it's like a buddy of mine was saying when he went to Mexico,
mm,
he tried their bananas and he said it tasted really weird.
yeah, I've heard that.
That's because it's natural. Yeah, they make fruit in a freaking lab in this country.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yep. And then they, like, anything that's supposed to have seeds inside it and it doesn't should be a clue.
Right? That's for sure.
But
But
that
yeah,
sounds like conspiracy talk, though, man.
we are in a place though where like mental health and stuff needs to be understood a lot better right
It's
now.
healthy
Everybody
body, healthy
needs
mind,
a
healthy mind,
place.
healthy body.
We all need a place to share, like to talk about and go when we have, rough days, but we also all need somebody to share our exciting news with too.
Yeah.
Like if you're just alone and you don't have people to share things with, that's not going to be good for your mental health
It's
at all
lonely.
either.
Isolation. A lot of people I know
And
that.
isolation often leads to addictive behaviors and addiction because you're trying to feel better. You need that. You
Oh,
need anything that'll to make you feel better, and you'll reach for that because you don't have nothing else. Like
that is 100% a fact.
I feel like if you know somebody that's really struggling with mental health, like try to maybe help them overcome it. Try to understand what they're actually going through rather than just overlook it and just think they'll get through it, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Sometimes all it really takes is somebody just to have a person to share something with or to talk to about something that they just can't get out, they can't let go of or get off their chest, and it could change their whole situation.
I was walking with a friend actually once, and it was right where we walk all the time. The lady was sitting on the bench, and I just for whatever reason, me, I'm always ready to. And like they had just cleared the brush.
Mm,
I'd never seen them do that before. It looked really nice, and it was this really nice old lady, like probably in her late 60s, mid 60s,
yeah,
and people were swimming. The river was so low. I remember at this was like last summer that somebody literally walked across the entire river, like without, like I had never seen that before, and I just said to the lady, I was like, you gonna jump in, and then she started laughing. And then we got talking for a while, and she was having, like, her neighbors were really, they were much younger. They were like really just not good neighbors, and they were. I
right.
guess it even got to the point where she was talking about how they were threatening her, stuff like that. And you know me, man. I'm like, well, I'll go deal with them, and shit like that. And it
Yeah,
just made her feel so good that
right.
she just said like thank you.
Mm.
She was just like she started laughing till she cried.
Well, yeah, sometimes it feels good when you realize, or even just to think someone has your back. Like
Yeah,
if you feel, if now you don't feel alone all of a sudden. Like,
yeah. And you can feel it sometimes, man. You can feel alone in a room full of people. But if it's, it's all about how we have a brotherhood that, it doesn't matter what we could tell each other anything,
yeah,
you know? And a lot of people don't have that.
I agree. I hope that people are able to find it though. I hope the people that don't have it are actually able to find someone they can talk to about whatever they feel like at any time.
And this has been kind of ingrained in a society where it's men, it's like I notice with women, a lot of women will always have like a lot of
Yeah,
friends be like, I love you, girl, and shit like that.
right.
Why is it so?
But man, women talk about each other behind their backs too, though. It's like
I ain't gonna go down that road, man.
I just saying, it's a lot of talking going on.
Cackling.
You know.
No. Oh,
But
well,
it's interesting right now, We're in a time when,
men are supposed to
mental
just shut
health
up.
needs to be looked at more than ever, needs to be understood more than ever, and physical health is going to a weird place too with how bad food is, processed food, fast food. People willing to just eat almost anything no matter what these
Dude,
companies are putting in it. If it tastes like food, it's food. Let's eat it.
we
Doesn't
are light
matter.
years behind.
Even the dollar menu at McDonald's is like the $2-3 menu now, as far as I hear. Like they can't. I haven't gone to McDonald's in years, and I don't plan on going there.
I
But
don't think there's a McDonald's
when they're
dollar
raising
menu
up
left.
prices for that stuff that much, why don't you just eat something better? You don't need to eat that crap. Go get like a bison burger or elk burger or something quality.
That's really funny, man, because Buffalo burgers, I remember, were really good.
Yeah, but it's the thing. We should be living longer than ever, healthier than ever, but people are sick. People's bodies are not, their brains, their guts, they're deteriorating at an earlier age than ever before, which
Yep.
you might live to be 60, 70, but if you're not having a good quality of life because you don't feel good, then why? That's not how you want to live out your later years because you destroyed yourself with crappy food and bad sweeteners and different things throughout your mid part of your life.
Yeah. In my mid 30s, man, I feel like shit
I
a
can't,
lot of days.
yeah, I can't stress enough to care about what you put in your body and start today. Don't wait. Pay attention to the ingredients in your food. If you want ice cream, have ice cream, but buy a good ice cream. Pay attention to what is in that ice cream. Doesn't You can have anything you want. Just try to do it in a healthier, more positive way than just putting any junk in your body. If you're at like a fair or something, sure, you're not going to be able to have the
Well,
greatest
no,
thing,
see that
but
moderation. That the
exactly.
fair isn't in town 24/7.
Right, that's what I'm saying. But when you're home and you're making your meals and stuff, care about what you're eating and you'll feel a lot better in the long
And
run.
it's not every detox too does not feel good. You
Right.
know, getting all that processed stuff out of
Yeah.
your body does not feel good at first.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't feel good at all. In fact, I think
Not till
it
later
takes
on.
6 to 8 weeks to start a detox of anything.
Take that stuff takes time too to properly do it. But yeah, man, is there anything else you want to add today?
Uh, no, other than just do your research, like I always say.
Right, for
Research
sure.
the chemicals that are in everything. Question your parents. Research everything, man.
Right?
Blame it on me if your parents get mad.
Yeah, go ahead. You said it. Blame it on you.
Yeah.
I'll just reiterate that mental health needs to be taken not more seriously, but people need to understand it better. I see a lot of people really not fully understanding what mental health is and the struggles people are really going through with it, and especially in the recovery world. You really stop and listen to what people are telling you when they're telling you they don't feel right and they're hurting
Yeah.
mentally and they're not, they're
To know
struggling to
that.
get through the
Yeah.
day. Understand what that person really is going through because it's more than what you're thinking it is. I know that. And, my mom often says, I wish I would have understood back when you were really sick what you were going through, but I just didn't understand. And even when you can tell people, but if they're not fully understanding, they can't get it. They can't wrap their head around what's really going on. The only person who really, well, two people that really seen it was Ashton. I was dating her at the time, and my uncle Amos and Uncle Floyd. They would see the vomiting and how sick I truly would get some nights overnight, and into the next mornings.
Yeah.
So,
You've been dealing with that ever since I've known you, man.
but yeah, and the other thing is just care about what you eat, care about what you put in your body, what you eat and drink, and just do good for yourself. It's all you can do. It's what you need to do if you want to have a happy, healthy, long life. So now that I'm having a kid, I want to live longer than longer than I ever really thought I wanted to or thought
Yeah.
about. Now I want to be there to see the kid grow up and have a kid, and how do they live out their life, It's a scary thought of not being here now, so. But thanks for being here, man. I appreciate the conversation.
Always, man. These open mics
Yeah.
are usually
Thank
pretty good.
thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe. Stay safe and make good choices for yourself and those around you.
Do your research.